Well, good morning, colleagues across Minnesota and across the nation. Welcome to the 2021 Minnesota TZD Stakeholder Brunch. In the past, we started these meetings at 8, often gathering by 7:30 or so in the morning for some pre-meeting morning refreshment. So we had always in the past referred to these meetings as breakfasts. With speakers and viewers today from across the United States, we thought it would be best to start at 10, honoring in particular those of you on Pacific or Mountain Time. Today, our topic is creative ways to bridge the pandemic gap and energize your or our traffic safety audience. My name is Mark Kindy. I'm one of the Minnesota's three TZD chairs and the manager of the Injury and Violence Prevention section at the Minnesota Department of Health. Our sponsors for today's gathering are the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Minnesota Department of Health, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, and the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Our data story in 2020 was frankly not what we had hoped. We started the year anticipating that we might have fewer than 300 fatalities by end of year, and at 100, and you about have it. We need to change the trajectory. To do this, we need to consider new, different, innovative, and creative ways to engage, to communicate, and to contribute to culture change. We want to move beyond the status quo. Prevention, as many of you know, is not always glamorous, does not always get the adrenaline flowing, as do the pool of blood, the tangled wreckage, the bones going every which way. And prevention also takes longer to evaluate. It's more difficult, more challenging, more complex. Keeping our most vulnerable people with disabilities, our infants, children, young people, our seniors, alive and healthy are important values and commitments to us as a state and a nation. We must be intentional about injury prevention. Injury or trauma, as you know, happens when energy is not contained. When energy transfer exceeds cellular capacity, we have injury. Part of our being intentional about prevention is changing the narrative of crashes as being unavoidable, unpredictable, and not preventable. We want to change crash culture in Minnesota. And our presentation and discussion today highlights the imperative of energized, educated, and equipped stakeholder involvement in order to make prevention a reality. And now it's my joy to hand this over to my colleague, Stephanie Malinoff, who is going to lead us further into the session. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Mark. I always love your musings. I thought that was a great title to your slide, Minnesota Musings from Mark, our very own 3M, right? Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be with you today and really excited to hear what our speakers have to share with us today. I'm going to start with an ask. I would like to ask all of you to indulge me for just a few moments and to close your eyes. Imagine the world around you, the work you do. You probably work for a state or local agency, maybe a nonprofit or a community resource organization. You're passionate about traffic safety and saving lives on our roadways. You're out and about in the community. You're raising awareness of traffic safety issues. You're meeting with new partners, people who probably haven't heard of TZD, Vision Zero, Road to Zero. You're convening your advocates and stakeholders to harness their passion and advance our mission. And then the world starts talking about this new virus. a worldwide pandemic, hoarding toilet paper, for goodness sakes, a lockdown, social distancing, N95s, travel bans, no in-person gatherings. Oh my gosh, suddenly everything about the world you knew changed in what felt like a split second. What are you going to do? How are you going to keep doing that critical work that you're so good at? The work that needs to keep moving, the work that will help our communities save lives. Go ahead and open your eyes. That all sounds familiar, right? It's unfortunately the world we find ourselves living in today. Everything was turned upside down. Left is right, right is left. We were scared. We were not prepared. I mean, who could have anticipated such a massive disruption to our world and our work? But what I do know about our industry is that we are resilient and we are strong, and we aren't going to let some darn little virus stand in our way. We have started to make progress. Things are taking longer than we had hoped, and I know just as well as the next person that we aren't there yet. There still is a lot of unknown. But hopefully, today provides one more step on our path towards solutions, toward new ideas, and ultimately a new normal. We have the privilege of welcoming 4 speakers to our event this morning. These speakers are going to share ways that they have been resilient, ways they have defied COVID-19 and continued to battle, continued to spread the word, and continued to raise awareness. Many of you listening today have asked yourself the same question. How do I do my work while living in this pandemic? Many of you are probably still asking yourself that question today. My goal for today is that each of you learn something that you can take back and implement in your world. I hope today's presentations inspire you to think creatively, to engage with your audiences and stakeholders in new ways, and I hope today refuels some of that passion that I know is inside each and every one of us. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping tasks. First of all, this webinar is being recorded. Secondly, you can find several important documents on the Minnesota TZD website after today's presentation. We will post a recording of the event. We will post PDF copies of the speakers' PowerPoints, and we'll also post a PDH form for those of you who need one. You can see the link to the breakfast webpage there on the screen in front of you. Oops, one too far. Video and audio for all participants is turned off this morning. So to communicate with speakers or other participants, we're asking that you use the chat box and the Q&A box that you see on the bottom of your screen. We're asking that you please use the chat feature to introduce yourself, to share ideas with all participants, to let the panelists know if you're having any AV or IT issues. There will be a couple of times throughout the presentations this morning where we prompt some discussion and ask a few questions through the chat box. And we really encourage you to share your ideas and engage with each other in that way. We aren't able to network over coffee and rolls this morning, so the chat box is going to have to be our next best option. Do just be careful though, when you are in that chat box, there's 2 options. You can send a chat to all panelists, and that would send something to just as us speakers, or all panelists and attendees. So as I told the panelists this morning, choose wisely. The Q&A feature, the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen, we're asking that you use to put questions for our speakers. We will do our best to try and monitor chat for questions, but we're asking that people please reserve chat mostly for discussion and Q&A for questions. If we have time, I may ask a clarifying question at the end of each presentation, but as a general rule of thumb, I'm going to save questions for the end. So now, enough from me. Let's get to the good stuff. We have 4 presenters today. I will introduce each one of them before their presentations, but here's a sneak peek of all 4 speakers on the screen in front of you. Our first presenter today is Laurie Huntsman. Laurie is the Zero Fatalities Outreach Coordinator at the Utah Department of Transportation. Her work is very personal. Laurie has lost 23 friends and family to roadway crashes. However, she's taken that loss and turned it into action. She began finding ways to get involved in rural communities in southern Utah. She participated in 3 county seatbelt coalitions, volunteered at Zero Fatalities events, and encouraged schools in rural Utah to become involved in the Zero outreach programs. In March, when a full-time position in the Zero program office at UDOT opened up, she jumped at the chance. She felt lucky to get the job and has loved working full-time on the Utah Zero Fatalities team. Laurie, the stage is all yours.
All right, well, good morning from Utah. So let me share my screen with you and we'll get started.
Here we go, Laurie. That looks good. I can see your first slide.
Okay, are we good? Awesome. So, Zero Fatalities is the name of our safety program here in Utah, and it is sponsored by the Utah Department of Transportation and the Department of Public Safety. And during these challenging times of COVID, we have really been working on improving our online resources. So our online materials are directed mainly to our teen program, and that's what I'm most highly involved in. And so I'm going to kind of be focusing my remarks on those programs this morning. We just redesigned our website and it just went live with the new website, less than a month ago. So we're excited about that. This is what our homepage looks like. And one of our favorite programs for our teens has been our parent nights, where we go into an auditorium setting with the teens and parents, and we teach them all about the GDL laws and the 5 behaviors that can save their lives. But unfortunately, for the most part, those have come to a halt. And so we started a webinar, and this webinar is offered twice a week. And in order to sign up for the webinar, the student would just simply go to our website and then click on the parent night icon, and it would take them here where they can choose from the schedule the night they would like to participate. Our presenter is awesome at getting interaction with the students on the Zoom webinar. He does surveys, has them answer questions in the chat box and raise their hands, and he's really great at engaging the students. After the webinar is over, there's a survey that will pop up on the students' browser where they will put in their name, the teacher's name, the school they attend, and then we're able to get a report to the teacher that will show the teacher how long they were logged into the webinar, and then they can get credit for attending that class. Another program that we've had here in Utah for a while now is our Truck Smart program. Here in Utah, about 25% of our traffic is truck traffic, and that's about double the national average. And so we feel it's very important that the teens understand the semi trucks and what they can and can't see and how they maneuver so that they can drive safer around those trucks. And normally we would go to the driver's ed class, and our partners from the Utah Trucking Association will send a semi to the school, and we'd park it in the parking lot, put cars in its blind spots, let the students climb into the truck and view the blind spots and really get a good feel. But in the schools where we're not able to do that, we have just completed these 5 modules that they can view online that teaches a lot of the same information. And these modules work in a way that you have to complete a module, answer a question before you can go to the next module. And then once the student has finished all 5 modules, there is a test that they take, which is sent to their teacher for credit. Let's just watch a little bit of one of these modules so you can get a feel for how fun they are.
You learned where not to be when driving near a truck. Now we'll talk about how to drive around trucks in a few specific situations. First, check out this handsome guy to see what it's like being a truck driver. Don't cut off truckers.
Play it safe when passing a semi-truck. Wait for 2 lights in your rear view mirror or steer clear. And thanks ahead of time.
Passing a truck can seem like a risky maneuver, but it doesn't have to be. Just remember that it takes a truck twice as long as a passenger car to come to a stop. So cutting off a truck could cut your life short. When passing...
Okay, that's all I'm going to be able to share with you today. You can go to our website and watch more if you are interested. Another program we have for our teens is our Teen Memoriam. Every year we meet with families who have lost loved ones or teens on Utah roads the previous year, and we ask them to share their stories. We don't share the stories to place blame, but to teach. And we have the teens read one of these stories, and then they would go to the reaction questionnaire where they write what they've learned from the information they just read. And then that again is sent to their driver's ed teacher for credit. We are just starting this program. It is a pre-driver program that will be introduced in the middle school and junior high health classes. And it's about seatbelt safety. And we have a fun video that they can watch. And then again, take a test that will be sent to their teacher. We'll watch just a few minutes of this. You're going to love it. It's so much fun.
Hey there. Do you feel like your parents have told you a million times to put your seatbelt on when you're in the car? Do you wonder why you have to wear it every time you go somewhere? Sure, it's the law that you have to wear it. But what makes a seatbelt so super? Let's take a look. When you're out riding in a car, you probably don't expect a crash to happen. But unfortunately, crashes do happen. So you need to be prepared. And wearing a seatbelt is like having a superpower in a crash. It's the single most effective traffic safety device for preventing death and injury. Let's take a closer look at this seatbelt superpower. When you're in a car crash, your body weight is multiplied by the speed of the car. So, if you weigh 100 pounds and crash while traveling 65 miles per hour, your body would hit with a force of 6,500 pounds. There's no way you can brace yourself against that much force. It would be like bench pressing an elephant. But you know what can brace you from that force? Your seatbelt.
Okay, we're going to stop there, but you can see how much fun our creators have made this video for those pre-drivers. We usually get around 5,300 hits on our website monthly, and most of these hits have been for the parent night, our previous Truck Smart program, and the Teen Memoriam. But now that we've added the Truck Smart modules and the pre-driver videos and classes, we are sure that these numbers are just going to keep going up. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our teen program that we are just getting ready to launch. It's going to be a 3-phased program. First, the learner's permit, and then the parent involvement and the parent night, and then the minor driver's license. And this is all going to be kicked off on our website. You can see those big icons that make it easy to find things. So before our teens get their learner's permit, they'll be instructed to come to the Zero Fatality website. The DLD website will have a link that will take them here. And then they click on that learner permit icon, and it gives them everything they need to know before going to get their learner's permit, including what kind of identifications they're going to need when they're there. Now, if the parents don't see all the information they need when they look at that website to sign up for that test, they will get a second chance. When they get to the DLD, they will be handed a flyer that has a QR code that will take them to our website. And they'll have a second chance to look at all that information. And they'll get that handed to them before their teen starts taking their test. That way, they have all that time while they're waiting to look over this information. And this is the first thing they'll see. It's a video kind of introducing the program. We're going to watch a little bit of this video also, and then I'll tell you a little more about the program.
Hey Dad, how does a car engine work?
That's a good question.
Well, it all begins with fuel injection, which is when the fuel is injected into the engine, which then makes the car go. Any other questions?
Hey, Mom. What do pistons do?
Well, I'm glad you asked, sweetie. First, the pistons jump up and down, like cheerleaders at a game. And then, just like that school spirit helps the athletes to perform their best, the pistons help the wheels put the car in motion. Make sense?
Hey, Dad, what's internal combustion?
Well, internal combustion is a process by which propellant combines with atmospheric gases and is cylindrically inducted during the intake process, after which the piston compresses the oxidized mixture, resulting in spark ignition and thereby precipitating thermogenesis, leading to the expansion of the vapor post-combustion and impelling the piston amid the power stroke.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up, parents. You may think you're helping us when we come to you with questions about driving, but there's a better way to go about it, especially when it comes to graduated driver license laws. Graduated driver license laws, or GDL laws, are designed to protect your teen in a few ways. They allow your teen to learn to drive in safe conditions. They safeguard your teen from situations known to increase crash risk, and they help your teen gradually increase their independence while learning safe driving habits. The bottom line is that GDL laws save lives. Since 1999, when the GDL program started, Utah parents have seen a decrease of approximately 70% in the number of teens killed in car crashes. Teens who say their parents monitor their driving in a helpful, supportive way are half as likely to speed, 70% less likely to drink and drive, 2 times more likely to wear a seatbelt, and 30% less likely to talk on a cell phone when driving. Before your teen gets...
Okay, so after they watch that video, this is what they will see, a nice accordion arrangement so that they can choose a subject and then dig into it deeper. And this is what the site looks like for the DLD information, where they can find the driving handbook and sign up for their learner's permit test as well as their driving license test. One of my favorite things on the website, and maybe this is my favorite thing, is this research-based program done by the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, or CHOP. And they have created these videos that help parents teach their teens the critical skills that they need when they start to drive. Here in Utah, we have found that the number one thing that stops parents from getting in the car with their teen to give that 40 hours of driving is fear of not knowing what they're doing. And so this is such a great step-by-step tutorial. There's a video, and then there's rating tools, and you take the child out and you practice what you learned in the video. And once the parent feels like they have mastered it, then you move on to the next video. Great resource. Another great resource we have is an opt-in text message that they can get bi-weekly. They'll get these fun little texts, but after they text DRIVE to 888-111, you're welcome to try it and see what they're like. There's usually a link to a video and more information to help the parents with this teaching process. And then lastly is after they get that driver's license, and the parents need to realize that their involvement does not end there. We want them to realize that it's important to set house rules and to gradually give them more independence and to spend time with them in the car, monitoring what they're doing, and just those important things, because that first 12 months after they get their license is the most critical time for teens, and that's when the most crashes occur. And so we really want the parents to stay involved at that point. So that is my presentation. Here is my contact information. I would love to get emails, phone calls, text messages from any of you, or go to our website and browse and look around and see what you can find that might be helpful in your program. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Laurie. What a great presentation. If you wouldn't mind, we've had several people through the chat and Q&A ask if you could share the link to where videos and resources would be found. And I think you had that on your last slide, but would you be willing to put that into the chat box for all participants to see as well? Thank you so much.
bet.
Wonderful. Well, next up, Rob, if you want to flip on your video and start sharing your screen, our second speaker today is Rob Sadowsky. Rob is the Transportation Safety Outreach Coordinator. Oh, everything okay? Sorry, I thought somebody was trying to interrupt me. Rob is the Transportation Safety Outreach Coordinator for Clackamas County in Oregon, which, by the way, I just messed up again. I was told for us Midwesterners is Oregon and not Oregon. So Rob, you'll have to stick with me. I'm sure it will be Oregon in my world for as long as I can probably make happen. Rob has more than 30 years of government experience. His work focuses on building a culture of safe driving in Clackamas County through marketing, outreach, and policy work. He served as an executive director of the Street Trust in Portland, the Active Transportation Alliance in Chicago, and the Chicago Mutual Housing Network. So a lot of strong Midwestern ties. He also conducts training and strategic planning workshops for emerging organizations. Rob holds an executive master in public administration from Portland State University and a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan's Residential College in Social Science. Rob, the stage is all yours.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to start with a joke. Why did the engineer cross the road? Because that's what he did last year.
Ha ha.
Thank you for laughing. Hi, my name is Rob Sadowsky, and just very happy to be here. I'm the Transportation Safety Outreach Coordinator for Clackamas County. So let me show you where Clackamas County is. So for Oregon is over here on the top left in the purple, and Clackamas County is right next to Portland. It includes Mount Hood. It includes a wide variety of areas, including timber, agricultural, suburban areas. Just to give you another little bit of a taste, about 80% of our population lives in urbanized areas, but it only represents 55% of our severe crashes, where our rural population is about 20%, but represents a much higher proportion of severe crashes. So much of the work that I do is focused not just on one demographic area, but really trying to dive in and target different conversations. This is from our most recent traffic safety action plan, which is available on our website, drivetozero.org. And it just kind of shows you some of the contributing factors that we see, which is very typical of what you might see probably in your own hometown, in your own home area. Just quickly, just for us, crashes aren't just about numbers. It's really about stories of people. For every crash, there's a decision point that it could affect the severity of injuries, whether the crash might result in more than one operator involved, or even if the crash occurs in the first place. Here's 3 different stories that we use to understand the behaviors that need to change for us to reach zero. Because I'm not an engineer, I don't work on the roads themselves, I work on the people. But I like to tell my mother, who's 97 years old, my job is to try to get people to stop doing stupid things when they get behind the wheel. In each of these cases, it's often a combination of infrastructure and driver operations that are contributing to factor. We look at a model of behavior when we look at our work, and that looks at where people are connected. People are connected to schools, people are connected to places of work, and there are a lot of intervention opportunities along the way. And so a lot of my work is thinking, what are the different ways that I can access these intervention points, both before and after a crash, including court, including things like restorative justice, and what are those opportunities that we can look to stop patterns of behavior in families. Much of my work, particularly lately, has been focused on social marketing. And so I'm just going to quickly define this for folks. Social marketing does not equal social media posts. It is really about a way to intentionally use a variety of channels to change behavior for a focus that does good. These are your typical examples of social media posts that you might be familiar with from some of our typical partners like the National Safety Council or NHTSA. They sometimes integrate social media practices, but not often. but they're really just sort of straight up, very dry, very static posts. But community-based social marketing is a process that really tries to change that. It tries to look at techniques to influence the behavior of the audience and figure out ways to get into people's brains to think about that. So I'm going to show you some of the things that both we do and that we've seen that we like related to social marketing.
Excuse me. Watch out!
Hey!
Just choose one. They're all the same.
Hey!
Could we please hurry it along? Please! Thank you! Could you take up more of the aisle?
You wouldn't do this in the grocery store. Why are you doing it on the road?
This is something that we were able to produce on our own, using our own equipment, using professional actor and actresses and a volunteer grocery store. But just to give you a sense that, you want to reach the community, you want to also utilize the cultural components that make sense. And we do a variety of things that just kind of is fun and plays with. This is one of our delivery vans for the county, and all our delivery vans have these vehicle wraps that we've designed around our Drive to Zero messaging. They always have a very clear ask. So for example, select a designated texter, and they always feature a certain surprise, which I'll hint at right now, but we'll come back later. Here's a Buckle Up campaign from Quebec that really tries to hit your emotions. It doesn't have to be overly active or video based, but something that really just connects to you. Here's a campaign to save paper for the World Wildlife Federation. Just something where every time you go into the restroom, it reminds you of what you're about. We've been working with teenagers for, I don't know, over 10 years to recruit them to help deliver message by hosting a art contest. This art contest will generate artwork for billboards, or in this case, this is a drop-down ceiling banner in our big shopping mall. But the last year has been really complicated. Normally I'd be in the classroom. I would be presenting, I take over Health 1 and Health 2 classes, different curriculum because they're different age groups for each of those two classrooms, talking about some of the common problems with driving, including distracted driving, drunk driving. This is an example of someone using, I believe, the drunk goggles on a driving course that I use. We also have a motivational speaker named Kevin Brooks that comes in and speaks at assemblies. Both of those have been cut out because of COVID since the month of March. In addition, I would do events, fairs, festivals, our own county fair, which is a whole week of engaging people using these safety cars, using trivia questions, using these a dress-up photo booth and getting people to pledge to drive safely. Not 2020, but in 2019, we had over 800 people sign a pledge to drive safely, which we were able to document and use social media posts throughout the week, and it was really exciting. And then we also partner with folks like AARP on senior driving classes, as well as a group called Oregon Impact on child protection seat fitting, all of which we can amplify, but most of those elements and activities have stopped. So the best laid plans get really changed. We got hit by two whammies. The first was the coronavirus, and the second was wildfires, which you may have heard of, in which case we had to stop work on all messages that weren't related to those two things. I couldn't even drive, drive messaging home on typical traffic safety messaging during that time. But instead of getting sad, I did a number of things. The first thing I did was started to work on some long-term planning that I hadn't been able to do for a while, really rethink some of the work that we do. The second thing I was able to do was we found some money to be able to develop a messaging campaign that links COVID as well as traffic safety, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And the third thing I did was get reassigned. I actually worked on wildfires. I worked on COVID messaging because I've been trained in this social media and social behavioral change. I was able to offer to the team some of those activities and some of the ways that we discuss our work in terms of positive cultural framework. which is a model of changing people's behavior that is promoted by Montana State University. So here you can see some of the ads and some of the social media. This is Instagram, really trying to connect emotionally, giving people a real clear reason for social distancing, staying home and wearing masks. A couple things that you really should know about in terms of social posting is always have eyeballs, always have things that are cute and that connect emotionally, or all those combinations of the two. And really appeal different messaging to different people is something that we really work hard to do. So these are some of the examples of things that we were doing. And now we're trying to sort of combine that with traffic safety. The other thing was we did not stop with our teen driving contest. We were able to reach our teens rather than me making presentations in schools. I reached out to every health teacher and every art teacher. I usually don't reach the art teachers, both through email and phone calls, and asked them to invite their students to participate. We got over 100 applications. We got some of the best artwork we've ever done. We give a theme each year. This theme was really about distracted driving. And our winners, you can see the one on the left, which is this banner. What if the next time it isn't a dream? Stay attentive, arrive alive. And we're going to be using that rather than in a billboard or say a drop-down banner in a shopping mall where people aren't going to right now, through buying ads on Instagram and Snapchat and other areas where we know teens can be heavily reached. Traditionally, we also partner with NHTSA on campaigns, but right now NHTSA campaigns don't work. For example, I just got this last week. Many of you might have gotten this. Be a team player, designate a sober driver campaign for the Super Bowl. Well, our Department of Public Health does not want us to ask people to do this because we don't want people going outside their homes, having parties, going to bars during the Super Bowl. So it's a message that is not consistent with what we do. So we're starting to rethink this. We can't use their artwork. We can't use their labeling. We kind of use that theme of the Super Bowl to remind people to stay home, not go out to party, and instead of focusing on sober driver. I go back to this car because if you see over the top left, right above the little guy with the hat, there's one of our Northwest area trademarks, which is Bigfoot. People love Bigfoot out here. We use Bigfoot everywhere. We use every single graphic that we do in the work that I do. Bigfoot is kind of hidden there. It's part of a tease and get people to think about that. And we recently saw a campaign out of Tacoma that we really like, featuring Bigfoot and wearing masks. And we're looking to integrate Bigfoot into both mask campaigns as well as traffic safety. And let me show you, their campaign real quick.
The Maskwatch is a seasonal creature. He spent his summer making the most of physical distancing, but the time has come to turn his attention to the cold weather months ahead. The Maskwatch knows diseases can ravage his kind, especially during the winter, so he stays home when he's sick, calls his doctor to schedule tests to learn if he has the flu or COVID, and gets a flu shot as soon as he can. Join the legends. Tacoma Pierce County Health Department reminds you to fight COVID and the flu too. Learn more at tpchd.org/mask.
I think it's a really good example of how you can build a campaign with very little resources. That's very simple animation, doesn't cost a lot of money, and can really be adaptive to the kind of messages that you're doing. So we released an RFP around this combined social media and COVID. We've already selected a contractor. I'm negotiating the terms next week. And we expect to be able to unveil a campaign, hopefully by June, that will include things like posters in stores and include emails that companies can send out to their employees that will include a variety of social media. And because we're hiring a contractor, they can do things that we can't do. For example, we only post primarily on Facebook, Twitter, and sometimes on Nextdoor. We also occasionally post on Instagram, but they can do things in Snapchat, they can do things on TikTok, and without having to go through some of the same procedures that a government agency might be able to do. So some of that message, for example, was like the same kind of thing. You can wear a mask because it's good for your family. You should drive slowly because it's good for your family, or some kind of messaging around, now's not the time to be in the hospital because we don't have beds for you. Some resources for you to look at. Again, our website is www.drivetozero.org. On that, you can see our county's Transportation Safety Action Plan, which also includes a local road action plan. I also recommend for people who have not heard of the Social Marketing Association of North America, or SMANA. If you're in this world, I really highly recommend joining them, looking at their workshops. Their conference each year is outstanding. If you are interested more about the positive cultural framework, which is sort of tying your messages into cultural norms, you'll see a lot of that in states such as Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, is to go to the Center for Health and Safety and Culture and look for their trainings. Their trainings are now online, which makes it cheaper because there's no travel expenses. And that's another thing that's really good to do during this distancing time. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to learn more information, again, you can go to our website. You can also reach me at rsadowsky@clackamas.us. Here's my cell phone number, or follow me on Twitter at rsadowsky.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Rob. We really appreciate everything that you've shared with us this morning. Yeah, still morning. I had to do my time conversion. Still morning for you guys, even earlier morning out west. Appreciate everything that you've done to prepare and get ready for today.
Now, do you want me to answer a specific question that's up in the
you know, I'll circle back. I want to make sure that we give Jess and Annette some time to get their presentation, but thanks for checking. Attendees, if you haven't noticed, I did post a question in chat. We're interested in hearing from you about what things are working well in your community. What have you been trying during COVID? And we'd love to learn from each other. Following today's event, we'll try and summarize all of the ideas that we get and get those posted on the TZD website as well. So let's now transition to our final speakers of the morning, who will be co-presenting and from our very own great state of Minnesota. Annette Larson is the Minnesota South Central TZD Regional Coordinator. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Recreation, Parks and Leisure Services from Mankato State University. She started her role in traffic safety in 2014 after years of coalition building, program and event planning, and implementation. She has successfully built numerous coalitions across South Central and Southwest Minnesota. Larson currently covers 13 counties in the South Central TZD region. And Jessica Schleck is the Minnesota Southeast TZD Regional Coordinator. She began working with the program as a Safe Roads Coordinator for Dodge County in 2008. She was hired as the Southeast TZD Regional Coordinator in 2013 and has since built, coordinated, and supported coalitions across the region. She's been teaching responsible beverage server training to regional liquor establishments since 2013 and was a CPS safety technician for more than 10 years. Recently, Jess coordinated the first ever cross-border Minnesota-Wisconsin motorcycle flood run media event. The success of this event has led to 4 cross-border motorcycle news releases and strong partnerships with WisDOT and the Wisconsin State Patrol. Prior to COVID, she had planned, organized, and hosted more than 50 media events across the state. Quite an accomplishment. So Jess, I believe I'm turning it over to you first, and you guys can take it away.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Like Stephanie said, my name is Jessica Schleck. I am the Southeast Towards Zero Deaths Regional Coordinator. My region covers 11 counties. Oh, it's not moving. My region covers 11 counties. Of these, we're lucky to have 6 funded TZD Safe Roads coalitions. In case you're unfamiliar, funded just means that they're funded by grants from the Department of Public Safety. So these grants allow TZD Safe Roads coordinators to lead coalitions in providing traffic safety education and outreach in their communities. So I lead the unfunded coalitions and serve as a resource to all coalitions across the region. So this year is challenging, as we all know. Most of the coordinators work for public health, so we're pulled away from TZD and deployed to help with COVID response. So we were still able to meet virtually on a quarterly basis and organize a few regional activities. So pedestrian education through yard signs was one of our regional projects. The yard signs were purchased and displayed by many of the coalitions. So this was one way for the Safe Roads coordinators to continue with community engagement without being pulled from their COVID duties for a lengthy period of time. It also gave them an opportunity to engage their partners by reaching out for assistance and helping get those signs out across their communities. A pedestrian work group made up of members from the Olmsted County Safe Roads Coalition was formed. The group met virtually and brainstormed ideas for educational social media videos focused on pedestrian safety. The Olmsted County Sheriff's Office has a media development specialist, and luckily for us, Sheriff Torgerson is willing to allow him to work very closely with TZD. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to check out their Facebook page and like and share as you wish. Kyle does a great job with the videos and social media, so we are lucky to have him on our team. I've included the links to many of his videos in this PowerPoint, so you should have easy access once the PDF is posted. So there was also a working group that brainstormed ideas for DWI education. Kyle was able to produce 2 videos with 2 different perspectives. The first of a deputy that lost her friend in an impaired driving crash and then ultimately had a career-ending injury while making an impaired driving stop. The second video focused on Heather's mother and still impacts her and how it impacts her life 17 years later. The video series kicked off the holiday DWI enforcement and has had more than 6,000 views since posting. So we thought this would be a good time to expand our community outreach and education through newsletters. We were able to expand our network by reaching out to businesses that hadn't participated in the past. So each month I developed a template email with blurbs and infographics related to the upcoming campaign. So this email could be easily modified and forwarded. So it, again, didn't take coordinators away from their COVID responsibilities for too long. And it was a great way to get our traffic safety message out to a variety of folks across the region. So same thing with the changeable message boards. I developed a template email for each of the enforcement campaigns that included the length of the enforcement period and then possible messages for the schools, city halls, and businesses to display as they wish during the campaign. So as bars and restaurants started opening up, we thought outreach to liquor establishments was very important. So the PowerPoint for server training was updated and we hosted our first ever virtual training. The lack of interaction made it a little more difficult, but it was still a good reminder to the servers of the dangers of driving impaired and overserving their customers. So it was important for me to find ways to keep our partners engaged. So each year we organize a May seatbelt kickoff that includes agencies from across our region. On a normal year, this would include a news conference with impact speakers and media, as well as the photo. So although the May event was postponed due to COVID, we did get the go-ahead to move forward with the regional photo minus the media event in October. So we usually use this photo to develop a poster as part of our speed kickoff, but this year, just because of timing, the focus was on DWI education. So nearly 400 of these DWI posters were distributed and displayed throughout the region. The photo was also used as a social media post that reached more than 30,000 people and had nearly 7,500 engagements on Facebook in the first 12 hours. The TZD sign replacement project was another way we kept our partners engaged. So more than 15 years ago, safe and sober signs were installed across the state. In 2017, we began replacing those outdated signs with updated TZD branding and messaging. And in 2020, we were able to order additional signs that included our hands-free messaging. So this is a great opportunity to engage regional partners and ask for their help replacing the signs that hadn't been replaced in 2017. I should note, just for those of you that don't know, these are not standard highway signs. They are designed for educational purposes, hence the X through the safe and sober sign that's attached to the stop sign. They're not compliant with signing standards, so they can't be placed on the roadways. One pager with guidelines for placement was put together and distributed to all law enforcement grantees, as well as county engineers to ensure proper placement throughout the region. So more than 50 of the buckle up, phone down signs were installed by law enforcement engineers and partners across the region last year. We also have window clings along with TZD hard hat stickers, TZD decals for vehicles. We have all of that available statewide. So we partnered with DPS to host a media event in Rochester as a call for action as traffic fatalities surged statewide. I was able to do virtual outreach to speakers from across our region. Our speaker was a mother who lost her son in the first fatal crash of 2020. Unfortunately, she was an EMT and was first on the scene of her son's crash. As a powerful visual, there were 314 chairs displayed at the event representing the 314 people that had been killed on our roads year to date. And as you can see, her son's photo was placed in the first row. So this media event spun off into a regional event. We, spurred by DPS, set up chair displays in our communities to reflect the number of traffic deaths in that particular county. So whether it was 1 chair or 13 chairs, the display still made a statement. This also gave us another way to keep our partners engaged. We were able to enlist the help of Safe Roads coordinators and other regional partners to help us organize and photograph their county's chair displays. So these pictures were then used as individual social media posts for TZD, OTS, individual county TZD pages, as well as shared on personal social media pages. But to reach a broader audience, I again partnered with Kyle from the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office to put together a video of all 11 chair displays. In my mind, I thought it would be dramatic to flash all 11 counties with their chairs. He ran with it and did a great job with it. So we also included a message about the number of unbelted fatalities and used that as a hook for the seatbelt kickoff on social media. The video was viewed nearly 1,500 times in the first 12 hours and nearly 9,000 times to date. So I am going to play this video for you. It does start out a little quiet, so just give it a minute to play. So very dramatic video. We did get so many positive comments on social media about the video. I really do need to give a shout out to Kyle, Sheriff Torgerson, Abby, and Michelle for all the work that they do on all these videos throughout the year. Without them, we really couldn't get our messages out. The videos and traffic safety messaging that has been posted through the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office has resulted in thousands and thousands of likes and shares and engagements. So if you haven't already, I strongly encourage all of you to look to your community partners for help with this. Social media can be a powerful, powerful thing. So I am going to pass it to Annette. Annette.
All right, can you see my screen?
Annette, this is Steph. No, we cannot see your screen yet. We had seen it for just a minute and then it went away.
All right, let's try this again. If all else fails, maybe I'll have to have Linda share it.
There we go. Now I can see it. You just need to start the PowerPoint.
Everything got moved around on me for some reason. I don't know. All
I
right.
know that happens. You're set to go. Everything looks good now.
All right. So my name is Annette Larson. I'm the South Central TZD Regional Coordinator. And so I cover 13 counties in the South Central area. I currently have 1 funded coalition and 7 unfunded coalitions. And with the stay-at-home orders and the direction of no in-person meetings, no face-to-face public engagement or events, 2020 definitely looked a lot different from our past years. And so our local coalitions really needed to get creative in how we did education. So one of the things that a couple of our coalitions did is we worked with our summer lunch program to get messages out throughout the summer in regards to speed, distraction, seat belts, and pedestrian safety. And so we had 2 high schools or local schools that helped us with this messaging. And like I said, these messages went out to quite a few students. It helped reach not only the students with thinking about safety, but it also helped reach the parents in regards to safe driving. One of the other focus areas that we did in South Central was pedestrian education. And so we did a pedestrian education event in Nicollet County. We worked on pulling together some media, some Facebook posts, and our local county coordinator was able to share that information out. We also utilized the yard signs that Jessica shared earlier in the presentation. And then this took place right around the time that school was starting. So we had some slap bracelets that we gave to the elementary students before they crossed the roads at the crossing guards with the message about pedestrian safety and their reflective. So it was a 2-hour event, and we had 36 drivers that received educational messages throughout that event. The Halloween safety tips, that was done by another local coalition. What we did with that is we were able to send that document out to 5 elementary schools in this county, sharing that message via email to get kids to think about being safe when they're out and about for Halloween. In addition to that flyer, then we also utilize those stickers to put on the Pizza Ranch and Jake's Pizza on their takeout boxes for the 2 weeks around before Halloween. And so we worked with and partnered with our sheriff's office, our local police department, and then our local youth prevention coalition to get that message out. And as you can see, the Fairmont Police Department kind of shared out their pictures, talking about the efforts that we did and how that helped create that safe experience during the holiday season. In addition to that, during those 2 weeks time, we were really focused on how can we reach the community and do some education when we can't be there doing in-person events. And so we worked with the 2 local grocery stores in that community and I believe it was like 5 different dollar stores around the county. And we distributed flyers in regards to things that could impact pedestrian safety. And so the first week we talked about speed education, and we had approximately 2,500 flyers that were handed out during that week. The second week we utilized a document that the St. Paul Police Department had developed for their educational efforts for pedestrian safety. And we used this as a Slim Jim stuffer for those grocery stores and the dollar store as well, providing that important information for what the laws are and what our deaths and serious injuries are within the region. Another way that our local coalitions got creative is we had the opportunity to do some education through the county food distribution programs that have taken place in 2020. So in September of last year, we worked with the local law enforcement who was there kind of directing traffic, but they did a observational seatbelt check, looking for passengers, looking for their driver, and then also making sure that the kiddos were in their child seats. And then we provided this information to them as they sat and waited for their food to arrive to their vehicle. And then again, we repeated the education or the seatbelt check again in October, just to kind of see, you know, what the impact was. So that was a good way to get out there and provide information to the community. Another local coalition had designed the Designate Before You Celebrate for their sticker shock event. And so we utilized their message and actually turned this message into a coaster. We had, in the 3 communities that we did this, we have provided Joyride over the summer. And because of COVID, we weren't able to do the Joyride program this year. So we worked with our one of our local funders to see if they would be willing to help support and pay for these coasters. So we were able to get the go-ahead. We designed front and back, and then we worked with a local printer to get us the best cost that we possibly could on coaster material that was easily to, as a customer left, we could dispose of their coaster because of COVID. So definitely was a good way to reach out, and the bars were very appreciative of this because I think they were really worried about what was going to happen once the bars reopened. Our Share the Road program is something that we've been doing with another local coalition, where we've come in and we've done some traffic safety education during one day during MEA, and we've had a variety of different stations available, one of which is kind of going through the no zones with a local trucking company. So this year looked a lot different. We had my chair and her husband, who owned the trucking company, came, provided that education, but the students weren't able to actually go through and sit in the truck to kind of see what that driver sees, but they walked through and kind of educated them, keeping that social distance, and then shared it out on our social media platform. One of the other things that we've been working on is just developing partnerships. And so this is one of the local partnerships that we have in a community in South Central region. We partnered with the local Dairy Queen. They've been doing I Got Caught wearing my safety helmet for quite some time. But this year they offered $1 off a Blizzard if the individuals came through the drive-through with their seatbelt on. They also partnered with us to get a Drive Smart message on their cups. And so that relationship is hopefully growing, and we'll be able to develop more marketing ideas across the region. Farm Fest, we had planned on having a booth at our big Farm Fest that happens every year. However, due to COVID, we went to more of a virtual format. And so I worked with the Minnesota Safety Council. We developed a virtual booth that we provided the video. The link is on the slide here. We provided a video for them to include in the virtual booth, along with information on roadway design, such as roundabouts and arc cuts, and how to drive them with large equipment. And then the Minnesota Safety Council and myself did a presentation on traffic safety on one day during their virtual Farm Fest. And I think it was very well received. And then across the South Central region, not all of my local coalitions have a TZD specific Facebook page. So we work with our partners to get the Message Monday out, be creative as far as other messages related to traffic safety. So just really kind of getting started in that important information in regards to how do we share that out on our social media and grab people's attention. And then we followed kind of the lead of the Southeast region with the empty chair concept. And so this is just an article that occurred in one of our local newspapers. They picked up on the video and then ran a little short story. So in addition to this little short story that you see, the MnDOT District 7 shared our regional video that we developed. And then I also worked on developing videos for every single county that they could share out if they so choose, or they could use their images that were sent to them as well. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is our strategic highway safety planning action planning that's currently going on. So Minnesota is currently working on how do we move forward this strategic highway safety plan. And One of the things that I've been working on with another regional coordinator is how do we determine what successes or how we've improved in the state of Minnesota. So we're developing a TZD engagement assessment, looking at developing action plans or logic models to help us evaluate and plan and show progress that we're making within the region. Now, within the state, each region is at different stages in that planning process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about South Central and kind of what my subcommittee is doing. They looked at what our data told us. They determined the top 5 areas that they really thought we should start focusing on. And so have really been kind of through this process since October of putting together action plans. And so currently we have an action plan for older driver, impairment, commercial motor vehicle. We're just getting started on motorcycle and speed. And then one of the other things that we're doing with the SHSP is we are looking at forming statewide teams that could focus on each of the specific parts of the strategic plan. And we're really starting with that pedestrian and the speed focuses first. So that's kind of where we're at with the strategic planning. So that is my presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks, Annette. We really appreciate, I guess, I was going to say, I wish we could give you all a round of applause, but you'll get my hand clapping. And I know sometimes people like to use their fun little reactions and icons, but thank you all for joining us today and sharing these great ideas. And to everybody who's watching us, holy cow, we've gotten some really, really great ideas shared in the chat discussion that's going on. So I've been talking offline with Linda Dolan, who works with us in the TZD program. She's going to try and take all the links and resources that were in the PowerPoints, as well as all of these great ideas that have been shared in chat, and summarize them somehow into one nice handout that we will post on the Minnesota TZD website. And we will also try and email to all people who had registered for this webinar. Give us a little bit of time. There's a lot of information in there that she's going to have to sort through, but I'd say, in the next week or so, we'll try and get all of that information posted. And also a reminder that the speaker PowerPoints will be posted to our website, and you should be able to get all the information that was presented in the PowerPoints that way as well. So we've got a couple of minutes. I do have some questions that I will ask our speakers. For those of you watching the webinar, please, in the Q&A box, there is a section called Answered. There's open questions and answered questions. And our speakers and panelists have been trying to answer questions that have been coming in. And so if you go into that answered section, you can see some responses that our speakers have given to questions that have been asked. If we have time, I might circle back to some of those as well and give other panelists and speakers a chance to respond, but wanted to make sure that you all saw that as well. I'm going to start quickly with one. Oh, it went away. Maybe it got answered. Okay. Let me start with a question from Christine Hernandez for Rob. Minnesota combined traffic safety messages with COVID messages on social and electronic message boards and got a lot of pushback about it not being appropriate. Have you experienced something similar or anything similar?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, and this is a really interesting point, the folks who do primary messaging for us is our public governance affairs. It's a different department than the Department of Transportation. And they have not had the training that I have had on positive cultural framework, on social marketing. So one of the things that we are doing now is, as part of our contracts with our marketing professionals, is having them train our staff, including our public governance and affairs. And I think that's making a big difference. So what's not happening anymore is messaging going out that doesn't think about how will people react to this? What are some of the negative consequences that might occur because of that? And doing message testing and learning about message testing so that we can message test before we send out to the public. Because if you don't do message testing, you're very likely to have some of those problems. And in our county, I mean, we have folks on the right that are very libertarian, that are very much, you cannot tell me what to do. You can't tell me to put a mask on. And there are people that are on the opposite spectrum that are like, lock it down. And so we have to be mindful of a very wide range of audience.
Great, thanks. And Rob, while we have you, one more question came in for you. This question says, we currently don't have a social media platform presence for injury prevention. We are a level 2 trauma center and would like to become more engaged in social media. What would you recommend as best practices to get a social media presence initiated?
Yeah, I mean, learn as much as you can about social media. There's some really good books out there. Nancy Lee has a very good book. I'll try to post that quickly after I finish talking. Join SMANA, S-M-A-N-A, and look at their workshops. It's not very expensive, and I was able to get my office to pay for it. The third thing would be working together if you have a communications team and making sure you're not the only one going through this process, because for example, our public governance affairs folks are very, very good at posting things on social media, but they are not social behavioral experts, and I'm trying to teach them how to be. And the respect and understanding that if we've been getting together and growing together has been one of the most fruitful and delightful parts of my job over the last year.
Wonderful. I'm going to make one other request to all of our speakers today. If you wouldn't mind one more time posting your contact information in the chat box, your email address and a telephone number if you're willing to share it. We've had a couple other requests come in for contact information. I know it's in your slides, but I think it's handy for people to have quickly as we're going through the Q&A and finishing up the webinar here. We had a couple of questions come in around speed and drivers kind of ignoring traffic control signs, which I know is more than just speed, but let me share a little bit about what we've been seeing in Minnesota. And Jess and Annette, feel free to chime in as well, because you guys have the ability to turn on your video and speak. We are definitely seeing speeds increase in Minnesota. We're seeing excessive speeding increase, and we are seeing it contribute to crashes and serious and fatal injury crashes in our state. I don't have that data with me. Director Hansen, I know you're out there watching somewhere. If you want to post and chat a little bit more about the data and what we're seeing, that would be really helpful. But our state is also just kicking off a education and enforcement campaign to really crack down on those and target those high speed violators that we see on the roadway. Let me pause there and see if Jess or Annette have anything else to add about speed in Minnesota. And then Lori and Rob, I'd ask for your opinions and see what you guys are seeing in your states as well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I am co-chairing the statewide speed action team. So as Annette talked a little bit about the SHSP, we will be using the SHSP as well, the SHSP and its tactics to develop an action plan for the state. Along with that, we're working on a plan to deploy some driver feedback signs statewide. So there's a lot happening with speed in Minnesota right now.
Great. Rob, I know you answered a little bit in the chat. We're getting close on time. Laurie, do you have any remarks or comments about speed in Utah?
We're seeing the same thing, excessive speeds, much more speeding, contributing to our fatal accidents. We are scrambling really hard and quickly to get some social media and some television commercials out there addressing speed right now.
That's a whole nother webinar in and of itself, you guys. I know that there are webinars that have happened and are coming up. We literally, I don't think we even touched the tip of the iceberg on that comment, but to the person who asked the questions, yes, it is a problem. It's not just an illusion you're seeing, and we do have data to back that up. So we're getting close on time, so I'm going to wrap things up here. And once again, just say thank you to everybody who participated as a speaker and an attendee with us today. We really appreciate your time. I was blown away with all the conversation and discussion that happened in chat. That is really, really valuable. And these opportunities to get together and share ideas, for me personally, is so inspiring and so valuable. What a great way to spend an hour of my morning, not only building relationships, meeting new people, but hearing what others are doing across the country as well. We will ask for you to complete an evaluation survey. It shouldn't take more than a minute. Linda, I can't see my chat right now, but Linda told me she would post it in chat. If you wouldn't mind filling that out for us, we really do use that information to help us plan future events and improve on things. So please take a minute and share your thoughts with us. If you don't already, please follow us on social media, continuing with that communications theme. And our next stakeholder breakfast will be in Wednesday. We have the date selected, July 14th. We don't yet have a topic, so stay tuned. We are anticipating at this point that we'll probably slide back to our 8 o'clock time frame, but we'll see where our speakers come from. And if we need to make a timing change like we did for today's presentation, we will certainly do that to accommodate our speakers. So thank you all so much. It's been great. It's been inspiring. I hope you can walk away with at least one thing to take back to your own offices and your own work and put together. If you have any other ideas you'd like to share with us, feel free to drop them in the chat, email Linda, and then we'll follow up and share everything that we've collected today. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day and stay safe.